Hi guys, welcome back to this model of the RMS Titanic. I stopped at this point sometime in the past. I'll put a link in the video for where I created this upper section to represent the upper rooms, upper deck. But in this video, what I'm going to do is model the funnels. And if you look at this reference image here, so that's the reference image you've been using, and those are the funnels that we're going to model. So I could either look at this from this point or from this end here. So if I press the 3, it goes onto the side, or if I press the Control 3, it brings it onto the side. So it doesn't really matter at this current time. All we have to do is at this stage, so get these funnels up from this level. So if I go into wireframe mode, you can see that the model will have is sort of aligned in a way with the reference image you have in the back. So if I select the model, you see the highlight of the model actually reflected against the reference image in the back. So what I'm going to do is start with the funnels screencast. So I'm just going to hold the shift key and right click on that point. That makes me place the 3D cursor at that point, and then I'll press shift A and add a mesh cycle. I'll tap into edit mode and then press S and increase the size a bit to so cover the circumference of the funnel. So I'll press G, Y, and then press EZ, bring it to that point. Tap into object mode, R, X to rotate, and the operation. So I'll press RX again just to make sure it's positioned properly. Now what you notice is that the rest of this funnel down is sort of a vertical descent from the shape. So what I'll do basically is just to tap into edit mode, select this point, press E and Z and bring this down. So I could press SZ0 just to properly align the vertices. So but then if you go into object mode and you go to the front view, you realize that this is where it's positioned. It's supposed to be in center here. So what I'll do is to move it GX and move it. What we want to do is to centralize this exactly at the central point of the ship. So if I go into solid view, see what it looks like, but we want to make sure it's at the center of the ship, and hopefully the center of the ship is at the center of origin of the scene. So if I go into wireframe mode, you see that center there, where you have that dot there, is at the center of the scene itself. This is the process. Shift S and cursor to select it. So the cursor, the 3D cursor goes at that point. Now I'll select this funnel whose center is at this point here. I'll press Shift S, selection to cursor. So it places that funnel at that center. Then what I can do is I can tap into edit mode, press A to select all of the funnel, and GZ, bring it up and tap it to object mode. That way the funnel is now at the center of the ship. Its center of origin is actually the center of the ship itself. It makes more sense because when we need to parent this funnel to the ship or move the ship, it moves with the mesh. So if I go to side view, it sort of moved from the point that we placed it. But what I'll now do is move this to that point. Now, because we're going to duplicate this across the ship, we don't necessarily want to put the center point of the funnel here, because the array modifier will assume that this particular mesh has a center point within itself, and it's going to just duplicate based on that. So what I'm going to do, tap into edit mode, press GZ and bring it down, and just bring the bottom of the funnel to that point. Now tap into object mode. Now press G and bring it up here. So in terms from the front view, you'll see that it's still in that center, but from the side view, when you move it, it only moves on the Z and Y axis. As much as you can, just try to place it in the right appropriate position. So if I press Alt, Enter, Alt left key, and probably go into solid view, so you see what it looks like, and it looks bent at the top here. But what you realize that in the real shape itself, there are some objects at the top here that don't allow you to see that bend point there. So what I'll do is press Shift S, cursor to select it, that it comes to the point where this funnel is, and that. So I'm going to select the funnel, and then we're going to add an array modifier. And what I'll do is I'll go to the modifier panel, click on search and array, and you'll notice that it adds 3 funnels. If I go to the front view, you see that it's duplicating across the x-axis in the positive direction. I'm going to set it as 2 and change the x-axis to 0 and change the y-axis to 1.5. So if we go to the side now, you see it's now going along the length of the shape, but what you'll notice that it's going at the angle of the slant of the top of the funnel. So, but that's because we haven't applied the transform. So if you go to the side panel, so I'll press Ctrl A and apply all transforms, and then you see that it's popped up to the right position. So what I'll do next is simply to drag this y-axis towards the right. Now what you notice that the center point of this funnel is still at the center of the shape, but the second one, which is a duplicate, the center point is being moved across. So that's why I wanted the center point to be on the funnel itself. So we will not bother about this for now, because when we apply the array modifier, it's going to combine into a single shape, and then we can use the center of the shape as the center of the scene for the funnel. So I'll pick the first of the funnels, boundary. I'll tab into edit view and then press Ctrl R, click on the material tab and press new, click on new, name it funnel top, or Ctrl I, it switches over the selection to the bottom of the funnel, and create a new material. Click on the plus sign and funnel bottom, funnel top material, and I'll add a second material and name it funnel bottom material. So you probably won't want to add material in since it's already material. So again, just for illustration, I'm doing that here. So what I'm doing now is I'll select the funnel top material. It needs to be black, so I'll select the material color and bring it down to black. So it's already making everything black. But I'll go to the bottom material and select it and change the color to, so let's go with that color, looks perfect. So what I'll do is select the funnel itself, and if I go into wireframe mode, this section of the funnel is selected. I'll select the bottom as well, and then I'll assign the bottom material and select the one at the top. But I'll now go to the top, go to wireframe mode, go to side view and shift select the top here and apply funnel top material. And when I go into solid view, you'll see that, yep, so it's now black. And what you could do is you could duplicate this as well if you add it to this as a part of the funnel, but because we're not going to add it, eventually we're going to remove it. So I'm just going to duplicate it, an array modifier of it. So it goes in funnels, so about the same distance in. And in the next video, what we're going to do is move up to the front of the ship and add the railings on the bowl. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Thanks.